Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning, a Wednesday edition from the International Diamond Center studios. Go check them out. Fine jewelry, watches, and much, much more. It's family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. JC buys his jewelry. JC's got a chain. I bet you got a big chain that says JC on it. JC, you're on the Titan and More hotline, courtesy of Comfort 10.
Big chain that says JC with a clock on it. It's JC time. QB, I'm in Tallahassee getting ready to go play some golf here at the glorious Golden Eagle Country Club.
I thought you were playing yesterday.
That yesterday was business. Today is the golf outing. And my friend Dave, who is a very loyal Ohio State Buckeye fan, has stuck me in the Buckeye room. And I had the mortal frightened scare of sleeping in a bed with bed sheets that look like that. Okay.
Buckeye's guest bedroom looks like an 8-year-old's room.
They are very excited. He's also forced me to wear this hat, but I flipped it around backwards so as not to torture the Gator Nation, which would be cruel. But we did watch the basketball last night, QB, and we watched that Florida game, and we saw a little demonstration of what the depth looks like on this team with guys like Alex Condon helping out guys like Will Richard and guys like Urban Klavzar, who comes through with 2 big 3-pointers there with about the 8-minute mark in the second half to give Florida some separation over Vanderbilt. And it was nice to see that because, they're a little banged up right now. You've got Martin with a hip issue, and you've got, Walter Clayton sitting it out with an ankle as he gets ready for hopefully gets to play in Auburn this weekend. So Urban Klavzar comes through with a couple of big baskets, and it was good to see Condon score a lot of the points last night and Florida get a nice win, a double-digit win over Vanderbilt. And it was the issue of 3-pointers. So Vandy couldn't guard the Gator 3-point shots, and we watched Florida almost cover the 12-point spread.
Yeah, it was. I tell you what, that's the first time I've seen Vandy in person.
Yeah,
they're extremely well coached.
Yeah, I agree.
Their offense, they spread you out, and they, basketball is kind of like the passing game, JC, about spacing and angles of throws. They get you in certain angles, and their drives to the baskets are just wide ass open. But I was very impressed with Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
They got some good players. Good win for the Gators without Walter Clayton Jr. A lot of guys, as you just mentioned, played. So they move on, and now they got to go play.
Oh, boy.
Auburn is clearly the best team in America. It's not even close. They just dismantled Oklahoma.
Embarrassed them. It's almost 30 points. It was actually inside the spread for most of that game until Auburn decided to just go ahead and leave Oklahoma at the bus station. And, we had some good games in the SEC. Mississippi and Kentucky scored.
The Black Bears took it to them.
They did, and Kentucky's got to be starting to question themselves a little bit. I'm sure the Big Blue Nation didn't really appreciate losing to their ex-coach the other day and then going to Ole Miss and getting beat by 14 on the road. They're making some noise up there, but the whole night was full of really good basketball games across the country in college basketball, and we saw a real demonstration of some teams that I think could make some noise in the tournament going forward, even though we're a long way from the tournament. But teams like Wisconsin look pretty good to me, and teams like Arizona winning big at BYU last night. That was a big win for Arizona. UCLA has turned it around under Mick Cronin. Remember when he was telling everybody how his players were all bums, and now they've turned around and won something like 8 in a row. UCLA out of the Big Ten, if you can imagine, beating Michigan State. So it was a good night of basketball, and we had a big win for Florida. That was a game they had to win, and I agree with you. I think Vandy's better than when they were coached under Jerry Stackhouse. I think this guy's much cleaner in the way he presents offense, and I think you're right. I think Vanderbilt's a team that could easily make the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, I like their team a lot. They don't really have any size, but they got some dudes that can make things happen for sure. Second portion of today's show, we'll have Kyle Crooks, the voice of Gator softball. They crank up tomorrow. We'll have Coach Walton probably next week. They got a big tournament down in Tampa this weekend.
Okay.
I just lost my train of thought of what I was getting. Oh, JC, you know what today is?
Wednesday, and there's got to be something to it. What is it?
It is National Signing Day.
Oh yeah, and February, early February.
Yeah, so
5th.
if you missed the show yesterday, we had Mike Morgan on, and Mike does his own podcast, and he was having Tom Luganbill on, that always does all the high school recruiting.
Yeah, yes.
He said Lugs was like, I don't know why in the hell they are flying me to Bristol, Connecticut to do this dumb show because nobody's signing.
Yeah, I mean it's December now, I think, isn't it? Isn't it December?
And December's the biggest one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, this used to be like a national holiday for people who followed recruiting. It was early February. It was everybody getting excited and everybody talking about all of their predictions coming true, and then all the pictures of the kids sitting at the tables with the hats and picking out a hat and throwing it up there in front of a crowd in the gymnasium. Where'd that all go, QB?
Well, the early signing period got rid of it.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So, but anyway, Gator Art on YouTube, brought to you by Quite Plum, says, has Bruce Pearl ever won the Final Four? He doesn't scare me. No, he's only been to the Final Four once. Auburn's been once, and that was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a phenomenal coach.
He's phenomenal. Yeah, he was the one guy in the league that took it to Billy Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy had more wins. Billy, of course, won 2 championships, but Billy couldn't beat Bruce Pearl at Tennessee. That's just all it was to it. And Bruce is a great coach. I hated it when Auburn hired him because I had a feeling that he was going to be able to get players to go there. And with that new building that they were building, I was thinking, damn, Auburn's going to turn into a basketball school. And that's what they've become. They are clearly a basketball school at this point in our history. And I agree with you, man. That's going to be a tough chore for Florida. And Tennessee was the only team that really scared Auburn this year in Auburn or anywhere, really. I know Auburn's lost a game here or there, but they're very talented and they're going to be probably giving us a deep run. And I've got something in my eye, I swear to God. I'm sitting in this Ohio State bedroom. Look, he's making me drink out of this thing. All right. He's got me wearing this goofy hat right here. And I'm sleeping in a bed that's got a mattress that says Ohio State and sheets that say Ohio State. Somehow the walls are blue, though. So we are surviving. That's what we're doing. We're surviving. I'm going to play Golden Eagle today, QB.
Nice. Zach says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, I joked with my wife how the basket with 5 seconds left cost bettors. Yeah, they had like a layup at the buzzer. The Commodes did. So
yeah, Florida was going to cover that game in the buzzer beater. Bad beat. That's betting in basketball. That's just exactly how it works sometimes, and you just have to live with that reality.
All right, JC, you said you had some Super Bowl trivia for us today.
So I've got the game is coming up, and media day was yesterday. I think it was Tuesday. Usually is what it is the week of. Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, is playing with Philadelphia. He's usually a very good wide receiver when you have 2 guys too high in the back, and you expect him to catch a lot of passes tomorrow. But what the number is 5, and he could become the 5th player to win a Heisman Trophy, a Super Bowl, and a national championship all in his college career.
You mean all in his football career?
Correct. And so there are 4.
Tim Brown.
Huh?
Tim Brown.
No, I need 4. Well, no, that he's not on the list. Tim Brown, I don't think, is the answer to this question. There are 5 guys.
I believe Tim Brown won a national title at Notre Dame, won a Super Bowl for the Raiders, and won the Heisman, didn't he?
He's not on the list. Sorry.
Okay.
Good guess, though. But I don't think the Raiders won the Super Bowl with Tim Brown.
Okay.
But there are 5 guys. If Devontae Smith wins, if the Eagles win, who are the other 4 Heisman Trophy winners?
Desmond Howard.
Nope, wrong.
The Packers didn't win.
Did Desmond Howard win a national title?
Oh, I forgot about the national title portion.
So it's national title, Heisman Trophy, and Super Bowl. Who are the other 4? Can you name one?
Probably not. I mean,
Well,
I have to think about it.
I'll give you a clue. You did get one of the schools, Michigan. So give me the Michigan Heisman Trophy winner that won the national title and the Super Bowl and the Heisman Trophy. And I'll give you another clue. He played defense.
Oh, that's Charles.
Charles Woodson
Yeah.
is one of them. The other one is Reggie Bush. The other one would be a running back from the same school as Reggie Bush. So that would be
It had to be an older guy.
yeah, but not too old. Hall of Famer.
I don't know. It's too early in the morning for me to be thinking.
Yeah,
guesses.
it's tough. It's tough, but I thought I'd stump you. It would be
Okay, well, give us the answer. How about that?
Well, it would be Charles Woodson,
Yeah,
Reggie Bush, Marcus Allen,
Marcus Allen.
and the immortal Tony Dorsett.
Marcus Allen is old, JC. You said he's not that old.
Not that old. He looks good. And Tony
He's got to be
Dorsett.
60 something.
Tony Dorsett's older than Marcus Allen.
Yeah.
Tony
All
Dorsett.
right, that's a great trivia question.
And Devontae Smith would be the fifth if he does, because we all know that he won the Heisman, the national championship, and is trying to win the Super Bowl. Second chance. Second chance means that if they win the Super Bowl, here's another stat for you. Jalen Hurts, his total passing attempts is 26 and a half. Not once have the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts passed the ball over 26 times when they have won. So if you like the Kansas City Chiefs, you take Jalen Hurts to go over 26 and a half. If the Eagles are going to win, he will have
Not throw the ball much.
26 and a half. So that's a way of taking the Chiefs too, is you can add to your Chiefs pick by simply taking Jalen Hurts to throw it over 26 and a half times. How about that?
Yeah.
Think about
Okay.
that.
Yeah. I mean, if he drops back and throws it a bunch, it's not good for the Eagles. Text on the Titan Mar text line.
I love the Chiefs in this game, QB. I'm sorry.
Good morning, fellas. How about them Gators? Ugly for a little.
Yeah.
Put together. I tried to watch the TGL after, but got bored. I'd rather watch Auburn. I didn't watch any of that silly golf.
QB, I couldn't take it. I told Buck I'd turn the channel. I'm going upstairs. He turned the channel.
Buckeye like it?
He looked at it, and we kind of looked at each other, and I said, what are we watching? And so he zapped it. He gets every single sporting event you can have. He's got these things called a Fire Stick, and he's got two of them. And he pirates stuff. He's got television from Pakistan on the thing. He's got television from Serbia. He's got Iceland soccer. It's crazy what he can get. He had every single game that we wanted to watch. Spent a lot of time looking for games. But
Doug wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel.
Doug!
I don't know if you know this Doug or not.
I know this Doug.
Douglas Whitaker.
Yeah, Big Doug came to the office the other day.
He wants to know if you've ever played Glen Arvin in Thomasville, Georgia.
No, and I've been told how great it is.
It's phenomenal.
I've been told. Isn't it funny how some of the greatest courses you'll ever see, Old Waverly, Glen Arvin, all these places are in remote little towns, little small places in the South. And that's a great call there, Doug. It was great seeing you and Betsy the other day. But Tallahassee, as I was saying on Monday, definitely has better choices for your golfing experience than the fine little quaint town of Gainesville.
Not even close.
It's not even close.
Not even close.
But that's just the way it is. Tallahassee's a cool place, folks. I know we don't like Florida State. I was telling everybody how Florida State's embarrassed the ACC, how they should be kicked out of the ACC and basically sued by the ACC for all their malpractice on a competitive environment. But Tallahassee is not a bad little town. I got to be honest. I think I like it. I like Tallahassee. I like the hills. I like Thomasville Road. I like these golf courses. And, it's
Greg wanted you to know that Fire Sticks have been around for 25 years.
Thanks, Greg.
Well,
I'm just a lazy old cable guy.
You are a cable guy wasting your money.
Right.
There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo car wash, locally owned by UF alum, and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations are Northwest 13th Street, Southwest Williamston Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. We got JC on the Titan tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see a comfort temp. We will talk softball with Kyle Crooks as they crank it up tomorrow. He is the voice of Lady Gator.
What's coming this weekend, QB? The Garbage Open. They ought to call it the Bourbon Street Open. It's the Waste Management Phoenix Open, where 250,000 of your golfing friends are going to get slam blasted drunk. And and go crazy on the par 3 16th hole. It's one of my favorite tournaments to watch on TV, QB. We're going to pick some wins here, and I've got a little tip for you.
Yeah.
You realize that there are only 19 guys that can win this tournament. 13 of the 14 winners finished at this tournament. 13 of the 14 last winners finished in the top 10 the previous week. So you can whittle it down from there. How about that? 9 of the last 10 winners finished in the top 7 in a previous weekend event for the Garbage Open. So that really whittled it down for me, and I'm going to give you the winners as we pick in our glorious Peachland Dental.
All right, go first.
Test. Okay.
This is our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1
There you go.
dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Go check them out at peachlanddental.com.
All right. With all the prop bets I took in the Super Bowl, I have to scroll down and tell you who I took in this waste management, because I really believe we're going to find the winner in this. You know, Nick Taylor. You can get Nick Taylor, the defending champion, and the guy who finished second 2 years ago. So he's finished first and he's finished second in the last 2 years. You can get him to finish in the top 20 on the Hard Rock at plus 200. That's 2-to-1 odds to get Nick Taylor to finish in the top 20. And this guy won it last year, and he finished his second the year before. I am taking Nick Taylor. He loves this course, and he will eat it alive. He will still.
All right. Did you took a Canadian? I'm going to take a Canadian. I want Taylor Pendrith.
Taylor Pendrith. It's
He's
not
playing
on
his ass off right now.
Yeah, but you did not take one of the 19 guys I said. Okay. Well, then
Taylor Pendrith came in 9th place last week.
No, that's top. There you go.
And he was in top 10 the previous week.
Actually, you did take him. So good on you. I missed that name. All right. Scotty Scheffler is my second pick. Scotty Scheffler is a way to play him if you don't like these very short odds to win this tournament. He's a former champion here. Is to just take him after the third round as your leader, and you are getting 4.5 to 1 odds. 4.5 to 1 odds on Scotty Scheffler to be your third round leader. I love that. Much better than trying to pick him to win the tournament at just barely 2 to 1. So I would definitely stick with Scotty Scheffler.
I'm going to take Horschel. He's playing good right now.
Yeah, you're right. That's another one of those 19 that's in that list. Billy Horschel. I'm going to take Novak.
Oh, I like him a lot.
Novak can just drill the golf ball. I love Novak. You can get him in the top 20 at 3 to 1 on Hard Rock. There are so many easy plays here, I think, for this course and this tournament. It's just money waiting to come to you if you just go on the Hard Rock. Quit being so stubborn, QB.
I'm going to take Shane Lowry.
Yeah, good. That guy made himself a lot of money on the last hole last week by birdieing number 18, an easy par 5 around the water there. And that got him sole second place last week, QB. He was tied with 2 other golfers for second place. So there we go. Are we taking 3 or we got more?
Yeah, you get one more pick, and then we're gonna have one
just
guy that nobody's ever heard of.
Okay. All right. I like that. Let's see. I'm gonna pick Justin Thomas. I'm thinking Justin Thomas here in the waste management. He plays the course well.
All right. Let's see. I mean, Roy won last week. I don't think Roy. I'm not picking Ju Young again until he speeds up. He pisses me off.
Yeah, you did not like that.
Oh, it was the slowest golfer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Colin Morikawa.
Okay. Good American Majors winner. They've got a hell of a feel for this tournament. The Garbage Open used to not have a lot of these names, but they can't miss it now.
Does it start today or Thursday?
It's tomorrow, but I'm on today.
I thought they changed it so it wouldn't end on Super Bowl, but maybe they started earlier on Sunday.
That could be. I'll look that up. My last pick is going to be a guy that you told us to take a name that nobody really talks about. This kid is a super player. I know you know who he is. He is FedEx Cup ranked 87th. He's world ranked 103rd, but he plays very well. Last week he was 9 under at the tournament, the AT&T. I'm taking this kid named Jake Knapp, the Napster. I think you can get him to finish in the top 20 on the Hard Rock at almost 5 to 1. That's good value. I think you get for finishing in the top 20 on the Hard Rock. You can make money on this. So
I'm gonna take Sam Stevens.
Yeah, that's one I don't know of him. I've never heard of him.
He's very good. Very good.
Yeah, the QB. I'm imagining that most of the guys that you'll see on this golf course are pretty damn good golfers. Good. It's great insight from you there. Very, very good.
They're on the PGA Tour. They're pretty good. It's just like they're pretty good.
I mean, somehow they just let these guys in on the tee box at the Scottsdale TPC. Hey, guys, you're a pretty good golfer. Come tee off. That's fun.
Yeah. All right. So to recap the Peachland Dental race management picks, JC has Nick Taylor, Scotty Scheffler, Andrew Novak, Justin Thomas, and Jake Knapp. I have Taylor Pendriff, Billy Horschel, Shane Lowry, Colin Morikawa, and Sam Stevens.
That's some good quality picks there, folks. That's real value. Rewind this segment over and over again if you're looking to win money on the Peachland Dental Picks Contest with your Hard Rock sports betting app, legal in the state of Florida and others. So it's probably the best segment of the week right there that you've had on this podcast, QB. I'd have to say that ranks as probably one of the top 10 segments you've had since Monday. Yeah, without question.
Since Monday. So Sam Stevens is ranked 75th in the world.
Okay.
And
pretty good.
Yeah, I can't remember where he played his golf, but he's 28 years old.
You know a guy that can't finish in the top 10 who's won 3 majors and is still trying to figure out how to play golf and has won 3 majors and is not finished in the top 10 in months, years. I don't know how long it's been. It's Jordan Spieth.
He's not very good anymore.
I don't know what's happened to his game. It's really stunning.
I know he had surgery on his wrist or something, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but he played this past week. I think he did okay, but anyway.
And on the flip side of that, an older guy who's won 2 majors has reclaimed his career as Lucas Glover.
Oh, he went to the long putter.
It's changed his game, and really, it does come down to that simple. I think these guys are so good hitting the golf ball that the only guys that make the money on this tour are the ones that make their putts consistently. Isn't that something? That's Reggie, profound, isn't it?
I agree. That's great. Reggie says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Bell Law, I think the bigger bet is how many patrons will pass out drunk on the first hole at the Waste Management or on hole 16.
They roll in there about 7 a.m. They barrel through the barricades to get their positioning. But hole 16 is something, if you haven't watched this, and I can't imagine why you would be watching this podcast and never have watched that tournament, the hole 16 is a complete free-for-all chaotic scene. And I think they embrace it. The golfers embrace it. And obviously it is unique to the PGA Tour. It's the only place, I think, where you just let it out and you do not have to be quiet and watch these guys play golf. You're sitting in an arena and it's like watching a football game or a basketball game or anything where you can just let it all hang out and raise hell and watch golf. It's really unique. And if a ball goes in off the tee, you're going to have a 20-minute cleanup because every single cup, every single hot dog wrapper, paper plate, and everything else is going to be on that hole where they'll have to clean it up because they act like Ole Miss fans at a baseball game or LSU fans on a Saturday night, just tossing stuff up in the air and absolutely going nuts. It's golf, but it's a unique scene, really is.
Rob on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, wants to know, is Gerald Chapman staying? I have no idea. I haven't heard. Victor Hovland, they say here, withdrew. So anyway, this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. Super Bowl 2017, JC.
Yeah.
In Houston, Texas.
Okay.
This is the game that Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn wish they could have over.
It's a sickening thing.
The Patriots defeat the Falcons 34-28, and Brady's your MVP. But they had the game won.
They had it won.
Simple. Just run the ball.
Run the ball or kick a damn field goal and go up 2 possessions. And they didn't do it. And Dan Quinn, that is the one moment in his career I'm sure that he wishes he had back. He's going to do great things in Washington, I do believe. And I think you're going to see the Commanders, who have now officially made that their name for the long term, but I think are bringing back the Indian head logo. But no matter, the Commanders are going to be a team that I think with Dan Quinn are going to be in the Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I think that quarterback is so good that it is unavoidable unless he gets hurt that we'll see Washington in the Super Bowl in the next 5 to 10 years. We'll just say that. I really believe that.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by.
He'll have another cheer
with JC before we get him out of here. Danny G on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, should Aberdeen start at point guard and move Clayton to the 2, then bring Martin off the bench? No, no.
I just want these guys to be
I think
healthy.
Aberdeen does a good job coming off the bench, but you don't put Elijah Martin coming off the bench, in my opinion.
No,
you don't mess with when Walter Clayton comes back. You go back to your normal rotation.
Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense to me. Tonight, we've got some really good ones, QB. This game tonight, keep your eye on this one. Missouri at Tennessee. And we know how good Tennessee can be at
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, the Vols are going to win the game.
I'm going to take Missouri plus the 9 and win money. How about that? And I think
call me in the morning when Tennessee wins by 14.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll also be curious to see if Arkansas can continue. But Texas has been playing really good basketball here in the last week and a half. Texas is at home. I like them laying the 7.5. And I think LSU and Georgia tonight, you usually take the Bulldogs at home on their home court. LSU is a team that's going to struggle, I think, to make the tournament. I like Georgia laying the 8.5 there. So I like a dog in Missouri getting 9 at Tennessee. I like Georgia laying the 8.5, and I love Texas tonight beating Arkansas. The Longhorns are playing good basketball, and I think that's a team to keep your eye on as we go through the month of February. So that's our SEC slate tonight. And I tell you, it's the best conference of basketball. It's fun to watch, and people take notice. Usually it's always Big East or it's ACC or Big Ten basketball. Everybody's paying attention to the SEC throughout the country now because we have really a legitimate shot to get 10 to 12 teams in the NCAA tournament.
JC, curious, did Buckeye travel to the Ohio State-Tennessee game?
Buckeye did not go to that one. He went to the Natty game in Atlanta.
I was just curious if he'd gone to all 3 games. And how
well,
much
no. He said it's not realistic, and I've been pounding the table about how impractical it is unless they start having these games on campus. And
even for a guy like Buckeye who lives in Golden
the tickets
Eagle?
were the issue. The tickets were impossible to get for the Ohio State game in Columbus, and then of course he could have gone to Dallas. That was my recommendation. Dallas is a fabulous place to have a game. It's easy airport to get in and out of, easy everything, right? Arlington's not a bad place. Texas Live, great game place. Now he didn't go to that one. He went to the game in Atlanta and couldn't get in. So he went to Atlanta, but he couldn't get in. The tickets were too expensive. I said to him, Buckeye, you can't afford these tickets for the Natty game. It's going to be $5,000. Now he can't afford it, but doesn't want to pay that. So it's $5,000. I said, come on, Buckeye, you got to go to the game in Dallas. You got to go to the game on campus, but it didn't make it. Now here's the thing. I think the playoff committee is going to expand the tournaments or the field to 16 teams. I think that's going to include more home on-campus sites for the early rounds. I think it has to because it's just not practical to go watch these games unless you pick one and hope, and that's hard to budget for. It really is hard to budget for. So
James on the Titan MR text line wants to know, JC, how much should I put on heads or tails?
Well, you have a 50% chance of winning. That's pretty good odds compared to, say, the roulette wheel or the blackjack table or something like that. So I think you just max it out and go tails.
All right. You going to have a lot of prop bets on Friday, JC?
I'm loaded up. And on Friday, I've got some great prop bets for you for the Super Bowl. I've done my research. I've done my homework. I listened to VSiN. I listened to the Sports Grid. I am following all of the handicappers in America that are scrutinizing this game from the bottom up. And I think we'll have some good ones for you on Friday. Make sure you tune in. I'll be back in Gator Country. And I must say, I do enjoy Tallahassee. It's a nice little town. It's not bad.
And so, right, as of today, you like the Chiefs.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, the Eagles are going to have to score 30 points to win this game, and they can. And Jalen Hurts played his best game in the playoffs 2 years ago in this game, but I'm not sure Jalen Hurts can do that again. And I think Kansas City defensively, this is a game where Spagnuolo is going to really okay, so let's just real quick before you bring on the next guest. You got Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Steve Spagnuolo, Fangio. Okay, call that a tie. Call that a tie, but Spags has won 4 rings, I think.
Yeah.
And then you've got, maybe you got Saquon Barkley, but Kareem Hunt is no slouch, and neither is Pacheco. And they are 2 running backs compared to 1. I think Kansas City is the play here. It's one of those things where I'm not rooting necessarily for them, but if you bet on them and you make money, you're happy. If you're rooting for Philadelphia and you lose money, you're not sad. So you can do either or, but I'm taking Kansas City absolutely 1,000%. I'm tired of fighting it. Quit fighting it.
They're
going to win. They're going to win.
Good.
They're going to win.
I think people, look, do they get some calls? Probably.
Yeah.
but the other team gets calls too. There's people don't know that because that team gets their ass beat, right?
And they just ignore that fact, right?
Yeah.
But Kansas City to me is the play. But yep, Philadelphia's got a great roster. Some would argue a better roster than the Chiefs. But again, I just went back to the three comparisons that I will give the nod to Kansas City: the coach, the quarterback, and defensively, they're just as good as Philadelphia. And I think the Eagles are great, but I think the Chiefs are the team. You cannot bet against them until they lose. I just think that's just silly. I'm not going to do it.
Dan says over under on the national anthem. Who's singing the national anthem?
I missed that one. Don't know that. But I'm damn sure taking the Chiefs, and I've got some fantastic prop bets for you that are backed by some real factual basis. So It's not just guessing, and it's going to be your chance on Friday to add more money to your kitty after I just gave you the waste management picks. And I think we've got such an opportunity.
And Sanjay M's going to win the waste management.
Sanjay M.
Having said that
was another good pick because he's in that top 19 that I talked about.
All right, have fun, JC. We're going to get to talk a little softball with Kyle Crooks. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll be joined by the voice of Gator softball and women's basketball. Kyle does a phenomenal job, but we're going to talk a little softball. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers. Setbacks. Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios, Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Back to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by Kyle Crooks, who is the voice of the Lady Gator softball team, also does women's basketball and many other things at the University of Florida. Good morning, Kyle. How you doing, bud?
Good morning, Shane. Always good to see you. It's a new season is almost here. Starting tomorrow, softball will begin. Women's basketball, men's basketball is kind of in the heart of their season, so it's a busy time of year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about it. Tomorrow it cranks up for Gator softball team. Some publications have them number 1, and we are welcoming probably number 2 and number 3, or the team that is the dynasty, so to speak. The Oklahoma Sooners are in our conference now. They're coming to Gainesville. Just talk about, I'm going to have Tim on in the next couple of weeks. He's been busy, as you would expect. But you've been around this team. A lot of people feel like it's the best team Tim may have ever had.
Yeah, it's really good. 2016 is a team that was the year before, a couple of years before I got here, that was really stacked, that lost that heartbreaker to Georgia in the super regionals. That was a team because remember, Shane, they were coming off the back-to-back national championships and they were stacked. Yeah, it's an elite team. So you got 5 All-Americans that return. You have Jocelyn Erickson, the 2 big ones, well, 3 big ones. From a position player standpoint, Jocelyn Erickson at catcher had an elite year. Everybody was told in the preseason by Tim Walton, she's not preseason anything. She's not preseason SEC. Nobody's talking about her. And then voila, she was SEC Player of the Year. Corby Otis returned, starting left fielder. She is an elite player, elite on base. There's my alarm to wake up for Shane's podcast, by the way. Corby Otis, All-American. She probably, Shane, what's funny last year was 1A for SEC Player of the Year. Jocelyn Erickson, and then Corby Otis probably could have won that award as well. You get Keegan Rothrock back inside the circle. And now the biggest difference, Shane, with this team and why it's a possible number 1 team in the country, whatever you want to say, it's because they have pitching depth now. They didn't have that last year. And that was the issue in the World Series when you're trying to beat Oklahoma. There was no different looks inside the circle outside of Keegan Rothrock. So now you have a little bit more depth inside the circle. I've asked multiple people because you know how coaches are, Shane. They can be a little bit pessimistic at times. They look for the flaws in teams. And I said, is this a true number 1 team? And they say we're every bit of number 1. They don't see many holes in this team, but it's about going out and proving it, as you know.
Yeah, and you got Falby, probably, I'm assuming she's leading off, still playing center field. Mia Williams is still at second base. So many pieces to last year's team coming back. Who are some of the newcomers, whether they're right out of high school or out of the transfer portal, that will step in?
Yeah, there's 3 of them that stand out to me. So freshman-wise, you're going to have a new starting right fielder, Taylor Shoemaker, who I was shocked to hear. I talked with Tim in his office last week or a few weeks ago, and he said the best all-around hitter on this roster is Taylor Shoemaker. And that was, I stopped in my tracks and I let an audible wow go because you have Jocelyn Erickson and Corby Otis on this team, remember. She's that good. She takes the place of Katie Kistler in right field. She'll bat second in the lineup behind Kendra Falby. Riley Holtorf comes over from Washington. She's an all Pac-12 player. She will replace Skylar Wallace at short. Very good defender. Maybe not plus range that you want from a shortstop, but everything that gets hit to her is going to be made. That play is going to be made, and that lends itself to the top 3 fielding percentage team that we always see for Florida nationally. So you have Riley Holtorf. She'll probably hit 9th, that double leadoff spot. And then Kenley Cahalan, who's 2 years as the starting shortstop at Alabama. She's been a starter in this league. Last year was an all-SEC performer. She's going to now move from shortstop to 3rd. And the interesting story behind that is when she was on her recruiting visit for once she entered the transfer portal, so this offseason, she kind of had a passing comment to Tim Walton saying that, yeah, I've actually played some third base in high school here and there. And that stuck in Tim's mind because Riley Holtorf had yet to commit. And once they weren't expecting to get both, and once they got both, they had a decision to make. Okay, who's going to play short? Who's going to play third? And it is Cahalan who has that natural instinct for a third baseman, and she'll be in the lineup, probably in the middle portion of the lineup. It's stacked. Cahalan was the best player at Alabama last year, and now she's going to be in the middle of your order after the murderer's row that you have at the top. So those 3 newcomers, along with Kara Hammock, that's a new addition, and Caitlin Oxley are 2 new additions to the pitching staff that'll be key.
And yeah, talk about the pitching staff. Obviously, it's Rothrock's team, so to speak. If people, a lot of our listeners may not understand softball, but usually you have one person and she can pitch every freaking inning of the whole season. That's kind of changed lately. A lot of coaches now have kind of a 2-headed monster or 3-headed monster. Do you think Ava Brown will pitch much this year or just play first base?
She will pitch for sure, and she actually pitched yesterday. They had a sort of a game day walkthrough where they did their intros and everything, and they had a full scrimmage yesterday, and it was Ava Brown against Keegan Rothrock. Um, Ava, it's going to be interesting. So Keegan is set in as the number one starter. Who's number two on that SEC weekend? Last year it was Ava Brown. This year it could be Kara Hammock, who is was an all-conference player at UNC Wilmington last year. She was a really good get out of the transfer portal. She kind of mowed down everybody in the Colonial Athletic Tournament. She was the MVP of that tournament. She'll be an option in that two spot. I think a lot of people are going to love Shane. Caitlin Oxley, who they call Red. It's just simply because she has red hair. But she has multiple out pitches, rise, screw, change. She's top 40 in the top 100 for softball nationally in that new recruiting class. But she's injured to start the year. Probably won't see her until late February. So when the Gators go out to Arizona and they take that normal late February West Coast trip, that'll be the first time that you see her. But I think she has the inside track maybe to be that number two starter, and Ava Brown as well. You can't substitute experience. Ava Brown now has pitched in a World Series. She's pitched in really big games. And can she take that next step this year? The good thing is you got options this year. Last year, you didn't have many options. And like you said, I mean, Keegan pitched every inning in that World Series run, was the freshman of the year, led the country as a freshman in innings pitched, led the country in multiple categories last year. So be interesting to see. And Keegan's healthy now, Shane, too, and she will hit. Not a lot of people know that Keegan was a really good offensive player in high school, and she was in the starting lineup yesterday at the scrimmage. So she'll put a helmet on and she'll get a legitimate chance to be a part of the offense this year.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. Kyle's question here for you from Andy on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Where does Mia Williams fit into Tim's plans this season?
She'll be the starting second baseman for sure. I think she had a really good fall. She's had really good falls the first two seasons of her career. We've seen at times that she's had really good moments in a Gator uniform. She's won an SEC Freshman of the Week. If you remember, Shane, I know you watch a lot of the games. The SEC tournament, hit a couple of home runs, blasting 2 home runs, one off the scoreboard, one over the scoreboard in Auburn. She has elite power. She was labeled a phenom for a reason. She will be the starting second baseman. Can the consistency offensively be what the staff wants it to be? I think the biggest part of her trajectory is, can she hit the off-speed pitch? We know she can line up velocity. Can she hit the off speed? Can the strikeout numbers come down? Can the on base go up? If it does, I mean, that's a potential elite piece that you could have in the bottom half of your order. But defensively, she's every bit of what Tim Walton needs in that middle infield with Riley Holtorf now. And you're going to see, too, a new first baseman as well on that right side of the infield. So Reagan Walsh, who was the designated player, will play a lot of first base this year. She's really impressed at that position. Reagan's been really eager to get back into being a part of the defensive rotation. She played a little bit of third last year, but first base seems like a position that fits her really well. She'll split time with Ava Brown, so you'll have that right side of the infield. But Mia Williams is going to be a big part, I think, of this team this year. Yeah,
it's interesting how, these girls can play so many different positions. It's fascinating to me how they can do that. And it's fun to watch. I wanted to ask your question. I think Francesca Anea came back last year I don't know if it was 2 years ago or last year, but I felt like, I've always asked Tim, I was like, Tim, how do you and like Eric, I mean, mostly the coaching staff have been males, have to deal with all these females on a daily basis, right? But I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, don't you think bringing a former player that had so much success, being a female, has really helped this softball program? What Francesca brought to it?
And I think to that point, I think Tim has said that. I think a female perspective is really important. Somebody who's a mom, somebody who has done it. What's interesting is Tim and Eric Thomas, they had a lot of success in baseball. But Francesca has a lot of success in their sport specifically and their program specifically. You know, Francesca was the first big recruit for Tim Walton. You know, she was the basis of what turned out to be this behemoth of a program, but it wasn't always that, as we know, before Tim got here and in the first couple of years of Tim Walton. But Francesca came from that West Coast pipeline, that California pipeline. She sort of, in a way, kind of started that. And now she's entered in a role where she does just about everything. You would think Francesca deals with kind of the hitters, and she was a catcher when she came to Florida. Turned out to be an outfielder because of an ACL injury. So she works with all the catchers, and she's very close with all of them. Works with all the hitters. She'll be out in the bullpen. You know, if Tim says, "Hey, I need you out to work with the pitchers. Something seems a little bit wrong. Can you go out and just sort of observe?" She's everywhere. Like Tim has her in every facet of the program. She works a lot with the NIL collective with softball specifically. So she's doing a lot of that. She works in a lot of the marketing efforts as well for game day and things like that. It's everything, man. It's to have a proven winner, an All-American that went through the ringer as a player when you have an ACL tear and things aren't going well, and she's gone through her slumps, and she's the good cop, I think, sometimes to Tim's bad cop. And I think that's the way that he kind of wants it. She's been such an awesome contribution to the staff.
Yeah, I think it's been a huge plus. QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief, no surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. A few more minutes with Kyle Crooks here talking Gator softball. Barone71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, has a question. He says, can you ask Kyle if slap bunting is still a popular style of hitting? In the 90s, it seemed like many high school and college coaches were heavily using that style. We have one. Kendra Falby kind of slaps at it, but the game's changed, right, Kyle? It's about the home run.
Yeah, I mean, there's still very much slap is a part of the deal. You know, my late father loved watching the games, and he couldn't stand the slap hitting. He's like, they just swing away. I'm like, Dad, well, you don't really understand the game that much. But so slap hitting, Kendra Falby, I mean, she led last year, Shane, the SEC in hits. A big reason why is she just beats that thing into the dirt. And when you're lightning quick, and she's a lefty, so she's closer to that first base bag, she's going to get there. It's a strategy, and it's a strategy that works. And you'll see it a lot in this lineup. I think you kind of hit it, Shane. I think she's the only one that kind of deals in that slap pretty consistently, but it's an effective strategy. You won't see a whole lot of it, but what's so fun about this lineup is how versatile it is. You have a player like Kendra Falby at the top who can do that. And then, I would love to see the number of times that Kendra Falby touches home plate this year, because you got Taylor Shoemaker behind her. You think of this top four, right? So it's going to be Falby, Shoemaker, the freshman, who we've been told is the best all-around hitter on the team. And then Corby Otis is going to hit third this year. Last year, Corby would hit second. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jocelyn Erickson hitting fourth. And then, you got an All-American Reagan Walsh who's hitting fifth behind her. And those are all power hitters, but also you got a lot of on base in there as well. And that's the key to it all, whether slap, power. If you're getting on base, things are going to happen. And that top five, and it stretches now because you're bringing in more players. Camille Williams take a step. Man, this 1 through 9, like we said, a lot of people told me that there's no holes on this team. And and that can change once you're playing other teams and you start to diagnose different problems and things, and the heartbeat grows a little bit on game day. You know that, Shane. It's different than when you're scrimmaging each other. Man, there's not a lot of holes here, and it starts at the top with the slap hitting Falby.
Yes, for sure. All right, last thing, Connie Ron's question. For these softball tournaments early in the season, does Tim Walton like to have many players get some experience, or does he go with a set lineup?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I hate him because you gotta prepare for so many different teams, and it drives me nuts. I prefer the baseball series method. I I think he will. I think Tampa, you'll see a lot of different looks. Maybe I think Michigan is the big game of the weekend. I think South Florida, Illinois State, because it's the first game of the weekend. I think those will be set lineups. You might see maybe a Layla Lamar this weekend in Tampa, who's a freshman outfielder who probably has the most power on the team as a freshman. Gabby Camilla, who's split time at second base, along with Mia Williams, just getting reps there. And she's been all around the infield. I think you'll see a little bit of her this weekend as well. Yeah, I think like when you play it, maybe a Georgia Southern, or even next week when you have I think it's the Bubbly Invitational, you have Duke in town. That'll be a lot of fun. That's a top 10 team, but you're playing a lot of the mid to low major Division I teams. I think this is the time of year that you start to mix and match a little bit in the lineup, but you also want to create some continuity and consistency. In baseball and softball, it's every day. You want that consistency, barring any injury or anything like that. You want to make sure that you have pretty much the same lineup. But I think you'll see some freshmen this weekend, specifically here in Tampa. He'll mix it up a little bit for sure.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question, put you on the spot here, because a couple people on YouTube asked this. They want to know who the greatest Gator softball player is. Now, there's only three in the conversation, in my opinion.
Okay.
Hager, Lorenz, and Wallace. I'm gonna have Skylar on tomorrow, but I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them. They're all different type of players, but those three are pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair because I didn't broadcast Lauren Hager. I broadcasted Amanda Lorenz for most of her tenure here, and I think for me it's Amanda Lorenz. And the only reason why is because we only had Skylar for those handful of years. We didn't have her for a full complement of years here with the Gators. The two best players I've ever seen play in any sport that I cover here at Florida, and I've covered them pretty much all of them, Amanda Lorenz and Skylar Wallace. I think Amanda was she never struggled. It was amazing. Postseason, big moments. It's like whenever she would lead off an inning, Shane, you would just look down and you could say, like, all right, we'll put her on first base, or if she hits one over the fence or hits one off the wall, she'll put her on second. But she just was ultra, ultra, ultra consistent. And they called her Mandy Softball for a reason, because she would eat, sleep, and breathe the game. And I would go with her. I never got a chance to call Lauren Hager, so I'm biased in that regard. But I would go with Amanda for sure.
Yep. Well, they're all pretty damn good. Kyle, appreciate your time. Have a great season. Let everybody know if they want to follow you on Twitter or X, how they do that.
Yeah, so Crooks PBP. You can follow me on Twitter and listen to the Gator Sports Network. We're on ESPN WRUF locally, but you can listen on the Varsity app as well. I'll be on the TV call on Thursday and for a handful of games throughout the year on SEC Network Plus with Alicia Ocasio, All-American pitcher, former Gator as well. That starts Thursday at 6 o'clock, so we hope to see you there. Thanks for having me, Shane. Appreciate it.
That's Kyle Crooks. Does a phenomenal job broadcasting Lady Gator softball. Hope y'all enjoyed today's program. We'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have Brent Beard talking college football, and we will have Skylar Wallace, one of the greatest softball players we've ever had. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Take care.